Ambassador Gutmann, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview.
Thank you for having me, Jan Philipp. And I have to applaud you for starting a show on U.S.-German relations because they've never been more important.
Thank you. You've been serving as an ambassador for 2.5 years now, but your time here comes to an end this summer. So time to take stock. And how is the state of the German-American relationship?
So I began 2.5 years ago, and I was rushed in February 2022 to the Munich Security Conference. That was a week before Russia reinvaded Ukraine. And my goals were to bring the US and Germany together to help defend Ukraine, help Ukraine defend itself, and also to further our common values, freedom and opportunity and democracy. And I'm pleased to say the US-German relations are stronger than ever. That's super important to me, both personally and professionally, because personally I'm here as also the daughter of Kurt Gutmann, who had to flee Nazi Germany when Weimar democracy crumbled. And now Germany stands as a strong, prosperous, unified democracy with the United States. And so my goal is to keep that strong relationship going, helping Ukraine defend itself, helping our economies get stronger, bringing more jobs to Germans and Americans, and most important, probably strengthening the friendship between Americans and Germans. I'm very proud to say when Germans and Americans are asked today what they think of one another, vast majorities have a very positive view, Germans of Americans and Americans of Germans, and that's the foundation for our working together.
You're saying the state of the American-German relationship is stronger than ever, but the future remains a little bit uncertain. Here in Berlin, many people are looking, of course, at the election this November in the US, and also with some concern. So should Trump win the White House again, do you think it's possible that the US would really pull out of NATO?
So one thing we need to recognize is that NATO is stronger than ever. That is a very important fact, and it's supported on a bipartisan basis in the United States, and it's strongly supported in Germany. And now, instead of 30 countries, we have 32 countries in NATO. That's going to continue, and I would, I have to say that I both study and teach politics and policy, not partisan politics. And as an ambassador, I don't talk about partisan politics, but as a scholar also, I think it's really important that we focus on the policies that have made our countries strong together. That includes the strengthening of NATO, the strengthening of our support for Ukraine, our working together to bring more jobs, good jobs to our countries. And not only do I say proudly that that has become more important and stronger than ever, but I confidently predict that will continue because of this really strong relationship that's been established starting at the top. The US and German government are working really closely together, and also continuing to what I call the foundation of our relationship, which is the good relationships that Americans and Germans have with one another.
You mentioned the importance of bipartisanship when it comes to the support of NATO. But on both parties, there's been criticism on Germany, like Democrats under the Obama administration, as well as Republicans under the Trump administration, that Germany is not fulfilling its duty when it comes to NATO. Do you believe that Germany and Europe need to become more independent somehow and do more when it comes to their own defense?
I think it's really important that Germany now is fulfilling its commitment of 2% to NATO, and that has made a huge difference to my country as well as to Europe. So a lot of Germans have said to me, we're so grateful for what the United States is doing. And I have to say to all Germans, we are so grateful, and I am so grateful for what Germany is doing. It is really important that Germany, and now about 2/3 of the countries of NATO this year, are living up to their commitments to NATO. That's super important both for Germany and Europe, and also for the United States.
So there's nothing more that Germany should or could do?
I didn't say that. What I will say is that at the same time as I applaud my own country, and I'm proud of my own country, and I applaud Germany, and I'm proud of Germany for all that it's doing, we are the top 2 supporters on military and across the board to Ukraine. I always, and I continue to think, we can, we should, and we will do more. We will be with Ukraine as long as it takes. We wish and we know that if Putin stopped today, Ukraine would end its war of defense because Putin is the aggressor here. But we must stay with Ukraine, which means we will continue to do more.
Many Germans are following the US presidential election with some, let's say, incomprehension. They cannot understand why the ever-young America is having like 2 very old candidates in this campaign. Why does your country's political system produce candidates that are, according to the polls, not very popular?
As a scholar, what I know is every democracy has its own particular and to other people peculiar institutions, but ultimately every democracy is governed by the will of the people. And our presidents, as well as all of our other public officials who are elected according to a constitutional system of government. And I'm very proud that the rule of law prevails in the United States and in Germany. And when there are threats to the rule of law and threats to our Constitution, the citizens as well as leaders stand up against that. We know that historically, and as a scholar of political science, democracies die when leaders don't stand up for their values and when citizens don't stand up for them. So I'm actually proud that the US has a system of government which, to this very day, has elected, presidents according to the will of our people as enshrined in our Constitution. And I'm also proud that the president I represent has great experience and has passed amazingly important legislation to combat climate change, to support Ukraine, and that has had incredibly strong support.
Yeah. What many Germans don't understand, even though Donald Trump is now a convicted felon and he produced many scandals, he still is the candidate of the Republican Party. They didn't want any other candidate. Can you maybe explain this phenomenon a little bit to us?
What I can explain is that what really matters in a democracy is that the rule of law prevails and that ultimately freedom and opportunity prevail. And, never count the United States out. We have been, we realize that as a democracy, we need to join together with others. And I think that's what's really important for German citizens and American citizens alike to recognize, that the support that we are showing through transatlantic relationships, through our common support for both for our values and against our common enemies, is going to make us stronger in the future. I can't account for who gets, who gets nominated, who gets elected, but as a citizen And as a scholar and as ambassador, what I can do is say, everything we do in support of our common values makes an incredibly important difference. And everything we don't do makes a difference too.
Yeah. There's one question that many people in Germany are thinking about too. According to polls, 6 in 10 Americans say that President Biden is not longer fit enough to serve. You know him pretty well from your personal history since many, many years. What is your personal impression? Is he fit or not?
So I have seen President Biden very recently. I've seen him in the Oval Office with Chancellor Scholz. I've seen him outside the Oval and talking about the most difficult issues of our time. His experience, his intelligence, his dedication to the common good and to working across what we call across the aisle, across different parties, is unsurpassed. People realize that. I see that as somebody who knows him well, but I also see that as a citizen of the United States. And I'm very proud of having the president that we have. I have to tell you, though, a personal story. My father was an incredibly proud German citizen. And in the early 1930s, he saw Hitler come to power. And he saw people that he was very close to, Heil Hitler. And at that point, and it was 1933, he knew he couldn't do any more in Germany. He had to leave, and he tried to get his family out. He couldn't convince the rest of his family to go. They thought it couldn't get worse. It got worse, we know that, and I'm very grateful to my father for his foresight and his courage, because the last thing he wanted to do was leave his homeland, to leave Germany. He never lived, he died in the mid-1960s, he never lived to see what Germany has become, a united, prosperous, democratic country. He never lived to see his daughter, Amy, named after my grandmother, Amalia. He never lived to see me become ambassador to a country which is now one of our strongest allies. That is the reason I'm optimistic about the future. And that's the reason I think everybody today not only should be optimistic. Why am I optimistic? Because it gets me to do things with, your country that will ensure our future. And that's my message. We have started a Stand Up, Speak Out for Democracy initiative. And I speak to high school students all over Germany. And I speak to people of all ages. And in partnership, we're standing up for democracy and against all forms of hatred.
As you mentioned hatred,
Yes.
I want to ask a question, because you told me the story about your father who fled from the Nazis in 1934. What really worries me is that nowadays, my Jewish friends here in Germany told me that they have been never as scared as now to show their religion openly. What is your explanation for this raising anti-Semitism in Germany these days?
I think it is abhorrent. I think it is one of the things I'm most concerned about in Germany and in the United States. There is rising anti-Semitism. It happened even before the heinous October 7th Hamas terrorist attack on Israel, which claimed more Jewish lives in one attack than anything since the Holocaust. This is something that concerns me and should concern everyone deeply. What's important is that most people and all leaders stand up and speak out against it and act against it and protect our Jewish brothers and sisters against this kind of hate.
What could Germany do more to combat anti-Semitism?
I think what Germany has done with the culture of remembrance, which is teaching early on and often about what's happened in the past and moving those lessons forward are key to never again. Never again is now. Nie wieder ist jetzt. That's what we have to live and act every day. June 19th is a holiday in the United States.
Juneteenth. Yeah.
Juneteenth. It remembers the end of slavery in the United States. We also practice this culture of remembrance. We have to make sure that culture of remembrance is the foundation for our actions today. We can't think of it just as history. That's why we have to teach it. We have to teach it because it's each one of our responsibilities, whether we're Jewish or Christian or Muslim or atheist or agnostic, we need to stand up against all forms of hatred. Speak out and act on that.
I know you're running on a very tight schedule, but if I may ask one very last question, very short.
Yeah.
Many Germans try to learn from Americans. Me, for example, I'm always trying to learn this unshakable optimism. What could Americans learn from Germans, from your perspective?
Well, I like to tease Germans that I have learned so much that I really care about from Germany. The culture of remembrance being seriously something that we can learn to keep carrying that forward. The one thing that I find hard to adjust to is the pessimism of Germans. So when it's sunny outside, as it is today, if I say, you know, it's a beautiful sunny day, they say, yes, but it will rain tomorrow. So what Americans can learn from Germany, I would say, are many things, but two in particular. One is, even out of the worst things that can happen to humankind, we can work together to make something really good happen. That's what happened post-World War II. And we celebrated, for example, the Berlin airlift. That was a big celebration.
Gail Halvorsen once gave me a T-shirt.
Is that right? Gail Halvorsen, the candy bomber. That's American optimism. But what Americans learned from Germans is Germans pulled themselves together, East and West, and made a prosperous, thriving democracy. We can learn from that. We can learn from the culture of remembrance admitting what happened in the past, the horrors of the past, our horror with slavery, is a sign of strength. It's not a shame. It's a shame not to remember it. Yeah. The other thing that Americans can learn from Germany is how important it is to ally with other democracies, because Germany is a very important part of the European Union. Germany is a very important part of NATO. Germany is really a very important partner for us.
Yeah. Madam Ambassador, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
And all the best for your future.
Thank you. I will come back and visit often, as long as I'm invited.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a standing invitation at Axel Springer and WELT TV.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.